It feels dangerous being excited for a new game to come out these days, but I've been bitten by the hype of Codemasters/EA's new WRC title set to arrive in just a few weeks at the beginning of November. And in that hype, having turned into a bit of a rally buff the last few years, I thought I'd share a few of my hopes and dreams for this new title. For those unawares, the new rally game is called EA Sports WRC, and it's essentially being developed by the same folks that made Dirt Rally 1 and 2. And now they've got the full WRC, the World Rally Championship license. So of course that means the new title will have the current insane hybrid Rally 1 cars that I know folks are excited for. But even more exciting to people like me are that Codemasters aren't giving up on what made Dirt Rally so great. And this looks to be really another Dirt Rally title, maybe Dirt Rally 3.0. It's got all the historic categories that you could ask for. Now personally, I really enjoyed Dirt Rally 1 and 2, especially 2. I should mention that all the background video and stuff in this is from Dirt Rally 2. To me, those games were a fantastic love letter to rally. Something still very accessible to the masses, but enough there to appease most of us diehards. Dirt Rally 2 is something I still boot up at least a couple times a year, and even though I'm deep into the RBR rabbit hole, there's something just purely fun about Dirt Rally 2. I don't know exactly what it is, and I really hope it's captured in this new title as well. So they've said 70 cars on launch, and the list itself is really fleshed out with all the H categories, 1, 2, and 3, which feature both front-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive cars. From your Mini Coopers to your Alpine A110s, Escort Mark IIs, Stratos, Opels, all that stuff. It seems like almost every car in Dirt Rally 2 has made the list, but there's some additional ones like the Hillman Avenger and the Talbot Sunbeam Lotus, both of which I don't know anything about. If you've got a penchant for the extreme, you of course have the crazy Group B cars, the rear-wheel drive and the four-wheel drive variants. You can do your best Michel Mouton. Chances are, if you can think of a rally car, it feels like it's on the list. I know there's a few here and there missing, but I'd find it hard-pressed to complain. But it's a lot of cars. More than enough, I think. And that's really just the historics. It extends, like I said, all the way to the most modern of modern, the current WRC ladder and its premier category, and apparently we'll be able to make our own WRC car. But not a lot of details yet on what that actually means. I think they're knocking it out of the park with that, and the fact that it's all in the game from day one. Currently there's no DLC announced. The rumors are there's no car DLC planned, but I wouldn't mind, personally, if down the line a few more cars are added here or there. Maybe we could get that Toyota pack that everybody wants so much. But the other big thing you need to rally, of course, are the stages. Now, Dirt Rally 2 is always struggling for stages, in my opinion. The stages it's got are great, but there simply weren't enough miles, not enough distance. The game itself was split between traditional stage, point-to-point rally, but then also rally cross. And I'm sure plenty of folks enjoyed the rally cross, but to me it just took away from the main attraction, that traditional rally. At the end of Dirt Rally 2's life, with all the DLCs and everything, there were 13 different locations for traditional rally. The disappointing thing was that each location was really just 2 stages. They were longer stages, about 15 kilometers or so, but they'd run them in both directions, of course, and then you'd split them up into smaller chunks of stages, and at the end of the thing, they said there were 12 stages per location, but you really were just running over the same roads over and over again. It wasn't enough distance, and it only took a few hours at a certain location to really recognize the whole thing, and it turned the rally racing a little bit more into a memorization exercise rather than, what I think it should be, listening to the pace notes, maybe remembering specific spots on the stages a little bit, but you certainly don't want to see the same corner over and over again. I think I've done Monte Carlo so many times that I could drive it in my sleep. I know exactly where the road's going to change to ice and everything each time. They were good stages. I liked them a lot, but in rally, more kilometers, I think is nearly always better. So I'm optimistic for this one. In WRC, they have announced over 600 kilometers of stages, that's what the marketing says, across 17 locations. You've got every current WRC location: Monte Carlo, Sweden, Croatia, Kenya, Greece, Finland, Japan. I think there's some others in there. And I guess it won't be a part of the game on launch because it's not actually been run, but the new Central European Rally, which is like Germany, Austria, Czech Republic area, it's going to come once they've run it in real life. They're going to make it and then put it in the game for free. So that would flesh out the 13 locales that the WRC actually visits, but then they've added 5 additional ones. They said it's places that aren't on the current WRC calendar, but probably had rallying in the past. So hopefully something in America for me, but probably some UK stages, I'd guess. I can't believe the WRC doesn't go to the UK anywhere, but I'm sure these extra locations will add a lot to things. But that's 600 kilometers of stages that they've announced, at least. I don't think it's 600 pure, unrepeated miles. I would assume they're doing the same thing. They're going to have the long stages that they flip back and forth and they chunk out into separate ones. But it does sound like a lot of kilometers. And they've announced it's 200 stages that are coming with the game on launch, or over 200. It's just going to all come down to how much of that repeats over and over again, or are they able to really give us the distance? They said some of the stages are upwards of 30 kilometers, which is really long. That's longer than a lot of real-life stages are. But yeah, I'd expect that same thing where they're going to chunk them out and reverse them. I don't think it's a bad thing to do that. I think it's a really good way to make sure you're using 100% of that road. And they even run stages like that in real life. They'll reverse them and obviously run them over and over again. But I just hope over 200 stages across 17 or 18 different locales doesn't run it too thin. Regardless, I thought this would be cool. We'll pretend it's exactly like Dirt Rally 2, and it has 2 stages per location. So that's going to be 34 stages, 34 unique stages on launch, with 2 to come later. I think that's enough to have fun for a little while. Definitely a lot more than Dirt Rally 2 had in it. But then there's one other feature that I'm really excited for that might help with all of this, and that's time of year and seasonal changes. They've announced we'll be able to contest the same locations in different seasons: spring, summer, fall, winter. So it's the same roads, but maybe with some snow or rain in the spring, stuff like that. This is another great way to get a lot of mileage out of the same bits of road. They didn't say how many locations we could actually run in all 4 seasons. I wouldn't expect us to be able to run a winter safari, the Snowfari, but that would be cool. But if you could think about maybe like Sweden or something, run that obviously in the winter with the high snowbanks and tons of snow, but then come back and run that in the summer, gravel roads. It'll look, I think, a lot like Finland, just fast gravel roads, but nothing to help you stay between the trees if you miss a corner. The right and the lefts are the same, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to call them the same stage. So I do really hope that's as good as it's sounding. Something that always bugged me in Dirt Rally 2 are how the locations were locked to just a couple preset conditions. Time of day was linked to the weather and everything. So you couldn't run a stage in every kind of weather and condition. Anyone who's done some night stages in the rain with the wipers going, it's so completely different than running in the daytime and dry. And I think that kind of variation really makes rally cool. So I'm hoping it's that diverse and we can really go into a rally, even if we know the stages, with that big unknown about the conditions, which could spice it up. I mean, I told myself I wasn't going to get into an RBR comparison, but that's something that could really set this title apart from RBR. Having stages which truly transform conditions depending on how much running has been over it, the weather conditions, the seasonal changes, I think that could make some stages so interesting, even if you've run them 100 times before. So then, of course, we've got to talk about the physics for just a second. I'm happy to go on record and say I enjoy Dirt Rally 2's handling. It didn't always feel completely realistic, but it's also nowhere near an arcade game once you remove all the assists and stuff. I found it to be completely adequate, and it sounds like they're using that as a base for the new game. But with some improvements. At the end of the day, if this game handles exactly like Dirt Rally 2, I would be 100% satisfied. If it's improved in any way, if they can get the acceleration to feel a little more realistic in 4-wheel drive cars, or improve on the sliding feeling on tarmac, I think that'd go a long way in improving everyone's enjoyment. So all in all, I'm optimistic about this title. I see a lot of negativity online because it's EA and because RBR will always be superior. I'll give one quick opinion on the RBR thing. I don't see RBR going anywhere. If this game is completely awesome, if WRC is the best game that's ever come out, RBR is still going to be around. It's such a different thing, a platform at this point. I don't think there's any disputing RBR and how awesome it is, but something like this, EA Sports WRC, is designed for a bit wider of an audience. It's just a different type of game. Look, we could potentially have 2 really great rally titles to play, and that can't be a bad thing, right? I'd love if EA would go all in and make it a bit more hardcore and let us do recce and change our pace notes and make it that bit more punishing, so if you hit something it really damages the car. But I don't see them putting that type of stuff in WRC. It is a game for the masses, but it can very much be enjoyed by the diehards as well. So for me, at least, RBR will remain that serious competitive type rally game. WRC, I hope, is just a lot of fun and allows me to enjoy cool cars on cool stages. That's all I really want. So, I hope I'm not allowing myself to get into the hype too much, but I wanted to share my excitement a little bit and chat with some of you all in the comments. Good or bad, I'd love to hear what different folks are thinking. They're still releasing overviews and information about it, so potentially some of the questions and curiosities will be answered in the coming weeks, but you can almost guarantee I'll be there on a stage at the beginning of November with everybody else. So until then, this is GP Laps, and I'll see you all again next time.